is July 8th, 2027. Let me make it clear, it is not the intention of the government of Jamaica to take charge of the operations of the JPS. Prior to the expiry of the current license in 2027, we intend to renegotiate new licensing terms and conditions with potential investors which are favorable for the people of Jamaica. My statement to the media at this time is intended to provide clarity and transparency around the government's objectives, the process that is underway, and to reiterate our commitment to securing better outcomes for the Jamaican people. Our country will recall in 2001, the former People's National Party administration and government entered into an all-island licensing arrangement with the JPS. Subsequently, the same administration further entered into a binding agreement to amend provisions of the 20-year-old license. I think we can all agree that the people of Jamaica have not been served well by the existing electricity supply arrangements. The terms and conditions under the current license has yielded electricity prices which are amongst the highest in the region. The arrangements in relation to the license is deeply flawed and in need of significant reform. The current juncture represents the first opportunity presented to the current administration of Prime Minister Honis to secure terms which better serve the people of Jamaica. We take this duty seriously. The development where the government of Jamaica has essentially formally notified the JPS of its intention to, at the expiration of the current license, not pursue renewal under existing terms, has come in the context of developments in the wider electricity sector where there has been a significant global reduction in the cost of renewables. The government of Jamaica is determined that consumers of electricity in Jamaica should be placed in the best position to benefit from these developments. The current licensing arrangements with the JPS does not provide sufficient incentives to bring renewables into the grid at the scale, and it provides for generation via imported fossil fuels, which is not cost effective. It is over time to reform. As we negotiate a new license, the government is determined to extend every effort to put the people of Jamaica in a position to take full advantage of the possibilities to reduce the country's energy bill and to reduce the cost of electricity to Jamaicans. Improving Jamaica's energy security and achieving decarbonization goals are among our key objectives. Some would ask, why now? The current JPS license is approaching the end of its life in 2027. As I said before, this is the first opportunity presented to the current administration to negotiate real changes which benefits our country and its people. The action I have taken today on behalf of the government of Jamaica in giving formal notice to the JPS of the government's intention to acquire the licensed business at the expiration of the term of the license is a step towards achieving change which our country now demands. An alternative would have been to attempt to renegotiate existing license on its current terms, which would risk maintaining the flawed status quo entered in by the former administration and put Jamaica at a distinct disadvantage. The government of Jamaica does not believe pursuing such a path is either appropriate or viable at this time. The steps taken by the government of Jamaica today is reflective of the success of the administration over the past 9 years in placing our economy on a stable footing and made the current climate conducive to investment. Indeed, we are in a position to, on behalf of the people of Jamaica, pursue significant reform to the energy sector in a bid to secure better and more affordable outcomes for the people of Jamaica. In essence, this is a fundamental shift, and without this shift, all that we are trying to do will not bear the fruits that we need in the time that we need them. The formal notice given to JPS will give the government the remaining 2 years of the existing JPS concession to implement holistic changes through the development of a long-term plan to create a modern and efficient electrical power system which is more dependable and creates a sustainable pathway towards lower electricity prices for Jamaica households and businesses alike. Even as we are determined to negotiate a more reasonable licensing arrangement, an agreement which serves our country well, the government of Jamaica is open to exploring expression of interest from all parties which may be desirous of acquiring new license, including the current licensee. However, the terms of any such new arrangement must be consistent with the government's primary objective of reducing the country's energy bill and securing more reasonable and affordable electricity costs for Jamaica. The current license holders are well aware of the government's intention to negotiate new terms which are consistent with the vision of the government for a reformed energy sector. The terms must the collective goals and aspirations of the people of Jamaica who have been burdened by high electricity costs for decades. Reform in the energy sector is a must, even as we pursue the pathway towards reformation. I wish to assure the nation that the government's serving of formal notice to the JPS of its intention to acquire the licensed business augurs well towards stability in the electricity sector, even as we negotiate terms which better serve the people of Jamaica. There will be no disruption to service delivery prompted by our move to put ourselves in a position to secure better outcomes to the consumers. The license is very specific, and the terms of the license, and until 2027, those conditions are in place. So I'd like to make that very clear. There's a well-known quote which says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This government is committed to positive change. The announcement I made earlier was arrived at following extensive deliberations and consultations with industry experts and consultants. It's part of a transformative move by government to pivot towards achieving more sustainable and feasible outcomes in the energy sector. We are committed to Jamaica to reducing the cost of electricity in Jamaica once and for all. As we consider the future of our energy sector and the terms under which a new license will be governed, this administration of Prime Minister Andrew Holness will not enter into arrangements which do not provide a framework for positive reformation of the energy sector. We fully intend to deliver real, sustainable results once and for all for the people of Jamaica. I thank you.
All right, I now invite our Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Favour Williams, to bring some remarks to you after that very, very important presentation from Minister Vaz. Minister Williams.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let me acknowledge Minister Vaz, Minister Dana Dixon. I know we have Senator Abka Fitzhenley. We have the PS here as well from the ministry. Let me acknowledge Metro Siaga, President of the PSOJ, Mr. Ramsing, President of the Chamber of Commerce, representatives from the JPS, other members of staff from the ministry, from Minister Vaz's ministry, members of the press. Thank you for always being here to help us to carry our news to the rest of Jamaica. And so I want to start out by saying the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service stands in full support of the decision to trigger the option available to the government. Triggering the option, as you heard Minister Vaz say, does not necessarily lead to a purchase. It allows us to negotiate new terms on behalf of the Jamaican households and businesses, and it also allows us to look globally for others who may desire us of coming to Jamaica and leading this industry. As well, Minister Vaz announced that if we do nothing, the license will renew on similar terms and conditions, which would put Jamaica at a distinct disadvantage. We know, because we're all consumers of electricity, that those terms and conditions, the current ones, have only generated high electricity costs for Jamaicans, which have prevented us from being as competitive as we could be relative to the rest of the world. It is no secret that our manufacturing sector cannot expect to accelerate its growth unless it has significantly lower energy prices. And in the process of going through all of this, I took a look at just the comparison data that exists. You can search it for yourself, and when you compare energy prices on a per kilowatt hour for Jamaicans, whether it be residential or business, it is significantly higher than the average experienced across the world. And so this announcement is a significant step to reform of the energy sector and to seek better conditions on behalf of all Jamaican households and businesses. And so we stand in full support of this, knowing the positive impact that the reduction in energy prices, which we will be seeking, will have on the Jamaican economy, on households, on businesses, and for our future. Thank you.
We are moving along very quickly this morning, and so we will open up for questions. We have the wonderful Naomi there, who's going to take questions from the media.
All right. Good morning, Minister. We have our print and electronic journalists here. Let me start off quickly because it's a very important announcement this morning. Mahiri?
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Mahiri
morning.
Stewart, Nationwide News here. I have a couple questions to ask. So the first question is, I took note of the fact that Minister Vaz mentioned renewables as a key part that will play a role in negotiations. Is it that the successor to JPS, whoever that may be, is it that that contract will include circumstances that will allow renewables to be easier incorporated into Jamaica in terms of energy provisions?
Yes, and it could be at JPS or it could be a new player.
The answer to that is absolutely. And the fact of the matter is that, as I said before, where we are now, no matter what we do or what we try to do with the current license and the conditions of the current license, we are hamstrung because you're not getting the full effect in terms of energy price, even with the introduction of renewables. We saw LNG, we see the solar, we see all of the things that are happening, and we still are not getting the reductions that we need. So yes, and I think that, as I said before, this particular move is what needed to happen to make sure that we put ourselves in a position not only for us now, but for generations to come, to be able to have a proper energy policy that's delivering to the people.
Okay, second question. I know you gave the reasons for why the contract won't be renewed, but I guess the elephant in the room would be last year with Hurricane Beryl. Did JPS's handling of Hurricane Beryl last year play any role in this decision?
No, obviously, Hurricane Beryl, we all know what took place with that. That's just a symptom. The fact of the matter is that it's more fundamental than that. It's broader than that. And the fact of the matter is that, and I want to reiterate it, the government of Jamaica had two options. One is to try and negotiate an existing license with the existing operator. which means that the government will be at a distinct disadvantage from jump. So what I want to put Jamaica in a position is to be on a level playing field, that when we go into that negotiation with whoever we go into it with, we don't have our hands tied behind our back. We will be leading rather than following. And that's what governments do, or that's what good governments should do.
Good morning, everyone. Jerome Williams from the Jamaica Observer. Quick question for you. Based on the negotiations that you'll be having with JPS, could you give us an exact time frame as to when we are expected to have a result from it?
2 years is not a long time. And you will recall that I was being pressured to respond for many months. July 8th, 1 week from today, is when the response is due. But to respond, you have to do due diligence, and you have to do a lot of background work, which we have been doing for the last 12 months. So I want to make it very clear that this decision is not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It's a well thought out, and you can see the Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance was involved to make sure that any decision that we make, that the government is in a joined-up position, looking at it holistically. So the straight answer to your question is no. And if you notice, I speak about the license. The license and not the licensee, because the licensee is only following the license that they got. And the bottom line is that that license, which was negotiated by the then government of Jamaica, has proven to be a flawed license. Flawed from the time it started to flawed 20 years later, because it's not delivering to the people of Jamaica what we need.
All right, so I guess a follow-up question from me.
Oh, sorry, you just asked how quickly. As soon as possible. We have already notified the JPS formally, and I expect to get a response from them in due course, and that is a priority of the ministry. Regardless of what the season we are going into now, that is our priority, to make sure that we move the things along as quickly as possible, so we do not get caught in a situation where time is running out on us in 2 years and we have to make decisions off the cuff. We need to make sure, because this and these decisions are not only for today. This will affect generations to come.
So in terms of, I know that you said that this renewal, in terms of not continuing it, is based on existing terms. And I know probably the headlines are going to say government not renewing with JPS, but that doesn't mean necessarily that there's a future where it won't be JPS. People probably think this is the end of it, but that's not necessarily the case, correct?
So let me make it very clear. The license as we know it, that has 2 years left on it, the government will adhere to all of those conditions. In the meantime, the government of Jamaica is going to start looking at our options. That options includes any and everybody. Whoever it is that we end up going to the table with for a final negotiation for a new license with new terms as of July 2027 will be terms that are favorable to the Jamaican country people and citizens and everybody, because we are getting the opportunity to draw a line in the sand, learn from our mistakes and don't repeat them, and negotiate on an even keel to get the best results. And we will bring in our consultants, whatever we need to put that team together to make sure that we are looking at what has transpired in other countries, the mistakes that have been made, to make sure that when we finalize our negotiation and sign with whoever, it will be the best possible deal for the people of Jamaica.
And has the government... Well, PSOJ president is behind me. I know you were speaking earlier about how it's going to affect the average citizen, but in terms of the impact that you think this will have on the business sector and the private sector in general, how much do you think it's going to make things different?
Put it this way, we know what it's not doing now. So the fact of the matter is that we are very aware of what demands are from the business community and the private sector in relation to energy solutions, SEZs. currently, they can't benefit. So we are very aware of what the issues are. And as I said before, the business community is who drives growth, you know. The government only facilitates, you know. So if we can't deliver to them the right ingredients, then the country will continue with minimal growth, if any. So we're very clear on that. What I can say, and as I said before, this is today, July 1st, 2025, a new day as it relates to the future of energy in Jamaica.
Thank you, Minister. I have a quick one online, then I'll go to Corey from the Gleaner. Just a quick one. How will you manage then the risk of blackouts during the transition if JPS appears to not put much care into the running of the business prior to the end of the current contract in 2027?
The same way I dealt with Beryl. The OUR has their mandate. They are the oversight. And if it's not being oversight or overseen properly, the government will have to intervene. But I do not expect that. I absolutely don't. Not based on the conversation that I've had already and the fact that that does not suit anybody. So I'm not concerned about that.
All right. Thank you, Minister. Corey?
Good morning. Corey Robinson, Gleaner Company. Just wanted to know, Minister, how many other options outside of the JPS are you foreseeing now, currently? And how long will it take for them to be up and running after these 2 years?
So it will be premature to go any further from the discussion that I've just outlined to the people of Jamaica. It won't be prudent. The fact of the matter is that we have a license, we have a conditionality on the license which we have exercised, and I would prefer to start the discussions with the licensee before I have any further comments. I don't want to prejudice anybody. I just want to make sure that we do things the right and proper way, and therefore I'm going to be very, very hesitant in getting into any detailed discussion about the future until such time as a process takes place. It would be irresponsible as a minister and as a government, even although we know the sentiment of the average Jamaican out there. We're going to make sure and stay focused and stay on the high road.
Thank you, Minister. Let me just ensure, are there any other questions from the journalists in the banquet hall?
I think everybody is in awe. I think you need to give them a day or two to pinch themselves, because this is a very, 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 very huge statement, position by any government in any country. It's not an easy decision to make, but you have to make the decisions that will reap the best rewards for the country. That's why we are elected, and that's why we are standing here. So, as I said, I don't want to get into too much discussion. Let the process take place. What I will give my undertaking is to keep the country apprised on a regular basis in relation to how and where the discussions and negotiations are going.
Thank you, Minister. Then we'll do a final follow-up from Corey. I know the PSOJ president is here, and Minister does have another statement as well to make. All right?
I would think that they were doing their statement already to commend the government. And the minister, sorry.
Yes. One second. Let me just get the mic to you, Mr. Siaga.
I just want to say congratulations, Minister, but also I hope that as part of the consultation process, we hope that you include the private sector, all of the private sector, to ensure that our needs are met as well.
100%, and that has always been my stance as a minister. And the fact of the matter is that will go further to include even the opposition and keep them abreast and updated, because this is a very important national issue. So we can't treat it as partisan as we usually do. And in my usual style, I always have discussions with my counterparts, shadow spokespersons in whichever portfolios I have, because I believe that that's the right and proper way. In this case, I don't know how much they can help me based on the previous license, but I'll still include them in the consultation and discussions.
Thank you, Minister. There are no further
Thank you very
questions.
much, and I say, today, new day. God bless Jamaica.
All right, thank you very much, Minister, and thank you all. You've heard some very big news in terms of the energy sector, and again, this was not taken lightly. This decision was not taken lightly. There was a lot of collaboration and discussions and consultants that were queried in relation to this. You want to say something more? Okay, you want something more?
You know, as I say that, I cannot leave the podium because I know exactly what's going to happen later on today when the politics starts. That this is an election ploy, etc., etc. Let me make it clear that these deadlines and dates were in the license from day one. These were the timelines. July 8th, 2025, for the government to communicate to the licensee, and for July 8, 2027, for the expiry of the existing license. So this was predicated on the original license starting back from 2001 and then 2007 and then 2015. So as I say with the school buses, leave the politics out of this JPS Government of Jamaica matter, because at the end of the day, all Jamaica is going to benefit. This is not for one side or the other side. This is for the future of Jamaica, generations to come, our kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. Please, I haven't been successful with the rural school bus, but maybe I'll be successful with this one. Leave the politics out of the election campaigning on these very sensitive matters.
All right, thank you, Minister. I just needed to make a little bit of a statement in relation to the FID matter, and I know it was in the media, and there will be a release that will be sent out later today, but I just wanted to address the matter of the selection of the new head of the FID. And just to note again, there is nothing to hide in relation to that selection process. There was a process that was engaged with, and a candidate was selected. There were 2 rounds that were done. In the first round, a candidate was selected, but that candidate opted not to accept the position. The panel that had been doing the interviews, the panel decided that they had to go back out in order to get a new candidate, because the candidate from the original round did not accept the offer. They wanted to also broaden the pool of individuals that could be selected. And as you know, when you do this, and this is done across Jamaica, you always, you want to get the best person you can. And you put out an ad, and you do your interviews, and you select someone, and then that person says, no, I don't think I'm going to take up this opportunity. Many entities go and do another round, and sometimes they may change the ad, trying to get a broader pool of persons to be interested, and that is actually what happened there. And so the ad was changed to get more people. Now, that didn't seem controversial to the team, because the criteria in relation to law enforcement experience was not one that was there from the very beginning. And if you look at those who have headed the FID, they have not had law enforcement experience except for one. The last 2 who were acting did not have it. The longest serving head did not have specific law enforcement experience. And so the panel felt that in order to get a broader cadre of persons applying for this position, which is an important position, that they would remove that requirement, and they got a broader pool of applicants, and they then shortlisted and interviewed. In terms of the access to information request, the responses were provided, things such as the scoring sheet was provided to the media house that had requested it. In addition to that, the contract was also provided. And so there's nothing that's being hidden in this process. It was your regular, maybe two-step application process that was involved. And we will put out a statement today that clarifies it. But I do have to again note that under the Access to Information Act, when a request is made, it's a request for documents. Where there are no documents, the request cannot be honored. So what I have said today is conversations that would have taken place as a part of the interview process. That's not a document, so that cannot be provided under an ATI request. And so I'm giving you the information now, not as an ATI request, but just in terms of the questions that have been asked in the media. And from all of my checks, it was a process that was followed. The candidate with the highest score was the person who was offered the position, and that person was felt by the interview panel to have the kind of management, especially experience, to lead such an important organization. And as I said, I will send out, and a release will come out this afternoon. Minister Williams has confirmed from the Ministry of Finance that will put into more details what I have said here. All right, so we've said a lot, and I know many of you have to leave. It's been a historic morning, July 1, 2025, where we made Minister Vaz made this very important announcement in relation to the JPS license, and again, it was done after a lot of consultation, and at the center of it, at every minute of it, has been how do we get the best deal for Jamaicans, ordinary Jamaicans. That's what this is about, and we look forward to the negotiations and the discussions going forward that will lead to a better outcome for all Jamaicans. And so as we close, we say, as always, thank you for choosing Jamaica, and God bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you.
Big things are happening on the regional stage. Jamaica is proudly set to host the 49th regular meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference under the powerful theme, People, Partnership, Prosperity, promoting a secure and sustainable future. And leading the charge, our very own Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, will chair this milestone event. You've now opened the pages of another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. We've got plenty in store for you today, so stay with us. We'll be right back after the news.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, June 27, 2025. With work now set to begin on the Port Antonio bypass, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the $81 million investment will transform the economic potential for Portland. Dr. Holness was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony on Thursday for Phase 1 of the project.
This bypass is a strategic initiative with national importance. The new 18-kilometer corridor, divided into two phases, will divert through traffic from the fragile, congested coastal town center, cutting travel time, reducing transport costs,